Hello everyone, good evening on this Friday night. Welcome to the round 17 lockout stream. Had to quickly check the round. I hope you're all doing okay. Apologies in advance, my voice is a little bit hoarse. Went to karaoke yesterday, so yeah, vocal cords, good workout. Probably not the best idea before I was going to talk for the next hour, but hopefully you all can hear me okay and it's not too bad. But yeah, lots to get into. We'll get to as many of your questions as we can as we count down towards the round 17 lockout. Dragons, Warriors tonight. Both team lists have just come out. No changes, both 1 to 17. So no dramas there. I'll give maybe the first kind of 5 minutes or so, just a quick overview of my team, and then what I'm thinking of doing, and then we'll start going through your questions. But quick hello to Chris, Wolfie, David, Raymond. What will you do? Heck Hunter. Laws, Kane, Jason Yang as always, big fan. Love to see you here. SC Camel, Rosa, lots of familiar people in the chat, which is great because it's a Friday night and you're watching me, which is great. You're not out. Well, look, I encourage you all to get out and about. Enjoy your Friday nights and everything. But if you just want to stay at home today, just want to kick back with me for the next hour, that I'm on board with that too. Very quickly, so with my team, so I mentioned it a lot, I think last week, with the news, what I'll do as well, just when I go through my team, I'll go through some of my thoughts as well about players that might back up as well from Origin, and then we'll start to get to questions. So first 10 minutes, we might just cover a lot of that kind of stuff. So in terms of my team, what I was looking at doing, so Isaiah Katoa is going to Sean Johnson, that's locked in. Johnson will get the vice captain today against the Dragons. Kind of last week's moves that I had done freed up enough cash for me to do this week, and it looks as though Isaiah Katoa is going to be benched this week, so I'm glad to be moving off him now. I think even if he's an active player, it was time to upgrade him, so that was a very easy move. The second move, or if I'm doing a second move, yet to be confirmed. I probably will do a second move just because I need to get the numbers. You can see my second row forward is obviously quite dire. It's a very, very bad second row forward with Preston, Nickera and Bateman all out. Plus I've got Howarth and Matt Drury both out as well. Like, it's a terrible, terrible second forward, and Schuster against Melbourne. So I think I was really keen on Munster this week, but I'm thinking now maybe it's just not the smartest thing for my team. I've got Ponga and Walker and Gutherson there. I think they're all doing just fine. I don't think I need to force in a 5'8" in Munster. Plus, if you listen to the press conference from Craig Bell, well, not press conference, he had an interview. He's mentioned very briefly that Cam Munster was apparently lying in bed sick. Now, that could just be he's hungover after celebrating. And to be honest, I was tweeting out that a hungover Munster is coming straight into my team as captain. I don't think I'll be doing that anymore. Just with there's enough doubt there. I think the way that my team's set up, I think I need to address my second row forward instead this week. So I think that's probably where I'll be doing my second move. And I probably will be trading out Buller. I think I found the last few weeks it's been working out for me, just doing these kind of trades, just kind of, what do they call it, eyes up SuperCoach, I guess. And I think it seems like a good time to cash in Buller. He's probably peaked in price with a high break even, and ideally I'd bring in someone who plays around 19 as well, so it doesn't affect my numbers for that week. So I probably will sell Buller, and it'll probably via duels. I'll go Buller out. I'll put one of Osaka or Garrick to fullback. I'll bring Jack Howarth down to centre wing, and then I'll either buy a second row forward. Main considerations, Olukwatu, Ryan Madison, and Kolomatangi. So Kolomatangi is probably the best on paper in my view, but the issue is that he might potentially now get game 3 with New South Wales losing the series. Of course, I need to address that as well. Congrats to Queensland for their Origin series win. Definitely the better team. Very sad for my Blues, or our Blues, for any New South Wales fans who are watching as well. And I think Kolomatangi could be a chance of playing game 3, and he also has that bye around 20, and I just think that round 20 bye is going to be very, very tricky. Similar week to this and I think it will be the week where you get a lot of Origin restings as well. So I'm kind of thinking Kolomatangi, just for those couple of reasons, not probably going to go him. Olukwatu may be an option because, without Turbo, he's actually, Cherry Evans uses him more in attack, and so he could actually be a pod to consider, but I haven't fully kind of got my head around Olukwatu yet in general, so I'm kind of not really feeling him. Madison I like, even if he's named on the bench, we know that he's a bit of a machine still, even when he comes off the bench. 65, 70 points he can very easily get. The bye next week is a bit of a downside, but next week should be an easy week to cover. I only have Matt Drury, Gutherson, and maybe Madison from the Eels, so I think I can cover all of those just fine next week. The other option then is, if I don't go for second row forward, I can swap one of Tohu or Tarpany down to my second row forward. and I can bring in someone like a Payne Haas at my front row forward. I can't afford Tino. He'd be nice too. The only issue with Payne Haas is that he played 67 minutes, and look, it's a good turnaround against the Titans, but every chance where he plays maybe only 50 minutes, and I'm not so sure. Maybe is it the time for me to go buying Haas right now? I'm not entirely sure. So it's coming down to, I think, Madison or Payne Haas. I think I'm slightly leaning Madison. I like the matchup as well against the Dolphins. A bit more of a pod as well, so I kind of like that too. And at the end of the day, if I can't get to Payne Haas, it's okay. Tohu and Tarpany I think will do just fine. And the way I was thinking about it is if I did get Madison, Nickera, Preston, Madison, and Bateman will be my 4 main 2RFs. Whichever one of those 4 is at least underperforming, probably would be one of Preston or Bateman. I'd probably then sell on to Fafita after Origin is over to get back to Fafita. But haven't decided on that move. I don't need to do those trades today, because even if Tohu locks out, I can still switch Tarpany down to second or forward to do those duels. So I still have until tomorrow, basically 3 o'clock, to think about it. So I'll let people know on Twitter and stuff, but that's where my head is at in terms of the second trade. But I think I'll most likely be trading out Buller, I think, this week, if anyone is interested in what I was going to be doing with him. Very quickly, in terms of Origin players, guys, I appreciate lots of questions. I will get to them very soon. I can see the hair on point comments. Love the chat. Love that. Thank you so much. What's your go-to karaoke song? I'm a Wonderwall man. I love it. I love Oasis, so I'm definitely into Wonderwall any chance I can get. So basic, but it's popular for a reason. Now, with just quickly looking at the Queensland team and players backing up, I think Reece Walsh will back up. You know, they don't play until Sunday, and he'll be kind of riding the emotion and the wave, in my opinion. So I feel like Walsh should be safe to back up. Holmes, I think, will back up as well. I think Hammer will. Murray Taulagi, I think, will. Munster is a question mark now with this whole thing about him lying in bed sick, and he plays tomorrow. So hopefully we get some firm news on that. My gut says that he will still play, but just because I think he just has that nature in him to back up, but still a question mark. Cherry Evans, I think, for sure backs up. And the thing with the Queensland forwards is that not really any of them played really big minutes apart from Ruben Cotter. I still think he would back up, just play less minutes because he's a bit of a machine. But all of them played pretty decent minutes. Like Tino, only 42, Fafita 49. I think no issues if you're a Fafita owner. I think I would be surprised if he gets benched this Sunday. And it's a tough matchup against the Broncos as well. Pretty confident that those two will definitely play, and they could still play their normal minutes as well. Guys like Grant, I think Grant probably safe to back up. 51 minutes is fine. I think he's a good chance. Maybe play 60, 65 minutes, but fine. That's probably the all Supercoach relevant players. Very quickly from the Blues, so we know now that Penrith are resting all of their Origin stars, so no Isaiah Yeo, no To'o, no Crichton, no Luai, so that means that Peachy is in for any Tyrone Peachy owners, and also Zach Hosking is in. So anyone who has got Hosking, that's a big win for you this week now that you know he's confirmed to play tomorrow. So, you know, if you're short for numbers and you really need a Hosking, you've got that confirmed now. So that's good. Turbo obviously was a big one. He's out for the season. It's been confirmed. Tedesco, I think, will back up. I expect Adokar to back up. I fully expect Moses to back up as well. Same with Junior Polo, only 32 minutes. Damien Cook is a question mark. 77 minutes at centre. Don't even get me started about why he was playing at centre. It baffles me. Still baffles me how he was playing centre when you got Cam Murray there, but this is not an Origin review stream. This is a Supercoach Lockout Q&A stream. So he's a question mark, but I guess he was playing on the edge, so he wasn't having to make all the tackles that he would normally. So he's a chance maybe, I think, of playing, but maybe not the full 80. Haas, already talked about him very briefly. Question mark, I think, with him, given 67 minutes is a big effort, especially in an Origin game. So I think my gut says he'll play, but maybe only plays like 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes. So kind of is giving me a bit of a hesitation about wanting to bring him in. Isaiah Yeo has been confirmed to not play. Hudson Young, I think, will play. Murray, I think, will play with only, again, 33 minutes. Unbelievable. I don't know how Murray only played 33 minutes. Robson, question mark, but I don't know if he's too Supercoach relevant. Yeah, I mean, this comment that they Cook trained at centre, I'm not having it. I don't believe it for a second. I mean, such a specific thing that, Cook, you trained at centre. I'm not believing it. I think they just stuffed up all their interchange and rotations, and craziness. Anyway, I think that's kind of it on the Origin players backing up and stuff. But yeah, we'll get to your questions now that we've kind of done that kind of admin stuff. We've got 48 minutes, so I think we should be able to get through plenty of your questions. What brand of shampoo and conditioner do you use? Oh God, I can't even remember. What do I have in the shower at the moment? Well, actually, Peter, hot tip. Don't use shampoo conditioner. It's the worst thing for your hair. Just do it like once a week, even once a fortnight. It's fine. You don't need to wash your hair with shampoo and conditioner. So I will endorse not using it that often. But if you had to, I think Tresemme is what I have at the moment. It's very, very professional, but that's not mine. I didn't buy that one. Otherwise, just get a Coles brand one, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think you need to worry too much about your shampoo conditioner because you shouldn't be using that. You shouldn't be using it that much. All right, let's get to your questions. Apologies, guys, I've already asked. I'm going to just kind of go through the ones that have come in just now, but just re-ask if you can, and we'll get through everything. Love you, Work on. Thanks so much, Dylan. Teddy to Munster, decent trade. I don't think I'd be doing that trade now, Bradsky. I think Teddy's pretty much safe to back up. Raiders, I think, is a good game for point scoring, and Munster has his question mark, so I don't think I'd be doing that trade now, in my opinion. To'o out for Campbell Graham. This is the thing, Campbell Graham, Kolomatangi, they both feel like game 3 risks to me now, because Turbo's ruled out, so there's a centre position that's open. Latrell, question marks about him. Will he even play still? Maybe they just put him on ice. They could, like, it's a dead rubber. So, Campbell Graham could just, they're like, well, look, we earmarked you as a future Origin player. Just go play game 3 just to get the experience of it, so you're not having to make your debut in like a big game 1 or like a decider or something like that. So it's really annoying because the Rabbitohs have got a really good draw. I mean, they've got the Cowboys this week at home, which is good. I believe they've got the Bulldogs in the bye week, and I think they've got, is it the Dolphins coming up as well? I just know that they've got a little good stretch of games coming up. Warriors isn't fantastic, but that Bulldogs game in round 19 is, I think, what you're really targeting. And just because you don't know if they're there, it feels hard to recommend them, I think, because it's very hard to predict what's going to happen with the New South Wales team now for game 3. So personally, I mentioned with Kolomatangi, I think similar with Campbell Graham. Cody Walker, I don't really feel like as much. I think Luai will just play game 3, but yeah, obviously there's question marks about his position probably next year as well. Have I ever rocked a moustache? You've put me on the spot here. I've got a picture of when I was going once for a Movember. It was a proper beard. It was like a 7-week moustache that I didn't trim. It's like but I still kept the stubble. So yes, look, I've got a good potential to grow a good moustache, but I don't rock it, well, ever, basically. But I can show you guys a photo. I'm sure someone in the chat is going to just screenshot this now and just blast it all over the internet, but I'm fine with that. Let me find this picture of you real quick, and then we'll get back to your questions. If you want to see me with a moustache. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. People must be thinking, I'm here to ask SuperCoach questions, and I'm getting a guy showing me his bloody facial hair. What's going on here? Oh, here we go. I'm making a really dumb face, but hopefully you guys can see that. Okay. Let me know if you can see that. That is me with a glorious beard stash, if you want to call it that. So really big mo and a bit of beard stubble. I was particularly proud of that moustache, but yeah, that was about a 7 weeks of growth. Is Marshall King a hold? Now this is tough because I think it really comes down to as well, Laurie, who's your second hooker. If you've got like a Grant, a Cook, someone who can play, I think you can probably look to hold, because I think Marshall King is going to be a good option for the run home. But if you're short for numbers, to be honest, I'd be pretty comfortable selling. The draw for the Dolphins isn't that easy over the next few. They do have a bye, I think, in round 21 as well, which is fine. Easy week to cover. But clearly he's having this ongoing issue. It's a pain management issue. As a middle forward as well, playing in the middle of the field, that is going to hamper him. So I think he definitely is someone that you can look to move on. If, for example, you have no backup and you can go straight to Harry Grant, I think that's a move that I would do, to be honest, because I think... Look, I think that he's not going. It might take a few weeks for him to return back to that kind of 65 averaging hooker that we were seeing before. So yeah, for me, I think you probably could look to move off, but not a must if you've got a good backup in your hooker spot. Pick 2 to play out of Hosking, Schuster, Sele, or Ford. I would definitely play Jackson Ford today. It's a good matchup. It's his old club. I think there's good motivation for him to have a big game. So I definitely would play Ford, and I'll play Hosking as well. I think Hosking will be safe. Schuster against Melbourne, if you can avoid to sit him, I think that's a good position to be in, Ibrahim. Sele, I'm not sure about. I'm not sure exactly with the middle forward situation at the Rabbitohs if they've got a lot of their guys back. But, he sometimes can pull out some attacking stats, and it's not a bad matchup against the Cowboys. But him and Hosking are both kind of feel the same. Like they're not going to punish you or anything. I mean, he's averaging. I mean, his last few weeks have been pretty good, 57 and a 78, but he did score a try in that 78. I think I'd still just about lean Hosking, because I think Hosking, is probably just safe for 50. Grow it back. Any love for Richie Kennar? Yeah, so this is one guy I did forget to talk about on the Tuesday stream in terms of a cheapie downgrade. He's got a negative break even. It looks as though his job security is quite good, because I think Isaac Thompson is either injured or playing Cup, and I think Tino Milne's just been playing New South Wales Cup too. So just listening to some, I think it might have been the Guru or some other podcast I heard, I think it sounds like Kennar is pretty safe job security. So he's not dual, but he's got a negative break even, and look, he is playing for a good Rabbitohs team, and he could be an ideal cheapie in that he gets the round 19 coverage, and he could just nuff out eventually, but he could actually make some money. So I do probably think I prefer him to say like a Jed Cartwright. I think his job security is probably a little bit better than Cartwright, even though Cartwright's a dual. Kennar probably actually has good potential for scoring points as well. It's a good Rabbitohs attacking outfit. You're short on the 2RF. Yeah. So Bradsky, so in terms of my second trade, I will most likely do Buller out via duels to get in either a second row forward or swap one of my front row forwards down to get Payne Haas. Once I do that, then I'll still be short in the second row forward, so I will cop an AE this week, my AE is probably going to be Christian Welch based on my current reserve selection. So again, I'm hoping that, because it's not an easy week for captaincy at the moment, I've got it on Gutherson. It could be someone like Cody Walker. I'm really hoping that SJ just gets like 110, 115 plus. If he does that, I'll be pretty comfortable, to be honest, taking those points, because I don't think there's a standout captain this week, and I've got a free crack at the VC loophole this week. So I'm hoping that SJ just has a really good performance. Even if he gets just 100, 98, 99, I still might even just take that, to be honest, because no standout captaincy options that I can see who might really hurt you this week. Is Garrick a sell without Turbo? So yeah, on Garrick, there's some people saying that now that Turbo's actually expressed that he wanted to play centre. So, and he obviously had that really great game where he played there. So I think Garrick will play at centre. I don't think that he will go to the fullback. And ideally for Supercoach, he would go back to fullback. I don't think it's going to happen though. And I don't know if he's a must sell, because as a goal kicker, he still can be solid. And yes, obviously Manly without Turbo is not great, but they still have Cherry Evans playing well. So for me, I still feel like Garrick is someone that you can look to assess maybe the next couple of weeks. I don't think Manly play around 19, but at least, I don't know, it just feels like it's a bit hard to sell him straight away. Lagging, yeah, I've just actually got YouTube telling me that I can't maintain smooth streaming, but if you guys can hear me okay, then that's hopefully fine. I'm still seeing the chat come through, so I can still answer your questions. So hopefully the internet will sort itself out, but as long as you can keep hearing me, that's fine. Who's the least trap of a cheapie this week? Yeah, it probably is Richie Kennar, I think, given he's got the negative break even. Yeah, look, Buller, just very quickly on Buller, he's not a must sell. I just feel like I need to fix up that second row forward is awful this week, and I know trading just for the sake of 1 week isn't always the best strategy, but I do think Buller may not get that. I don't think he'll maintain that 72 average without Coruscant and Brooks in the team. They do have a pretty decent draw, but I'm happy to kind of take the bet that he'll go lower. So I'll probably look to trade him to get a second row forward to fix that position up. Is Munster a pickup or no? So we kind of already have spoken about Munster. Look, I think if Munster gets cleared to play, really like him as a trade in this week. I think he will do good against Manly without Turbo. If you can afford to wait with your trades and stuff, and then you only you can do the trade at the last minute, once you get the confirmed team lists, that would be the ideal thing. If you can't, then maybe I'd say you can probably maybe just about afford to wait, given that there's some doubt about him. He was quote from Bellamy saying that he was lying in bed sick. And you're also saying Munster or Bio SJ, which means you have to sell one of Hines or Moses. I think if you have Hines-Moses combination, I think you just stick with that for this week, because Moses has got a pretty good matchup against the Dolphins. I thought Moses looked okay as well in the first half against Queensland. So I think it's a good matchup for Moses. I'd be sticking with him. And if next week you want to go to SJ, you still can, because I think Moses is 800k. SJ does have a negative break even, but I still think that if you really wanted to do that move next week, from a money perspective, I think you will still be able to. Moses got a break in of 81, so if he pumps out a 65, he'll go down to 800k. You probably only really need to have maybe 30k in the bank to get to SJ, even if SJ has a really big game. So I do think it's sideways for this week, but I do like it maybe potentially next week, because I imagine Moses will play game 3 as well. So he'd be also out in round 19. Yeah. Nico Klukstad or Ponga or Brimson? Really like Nico Klukstad. He's been absolutely killing it. I like Ponga as well. Brimson is a nice little pod for your 5'8" or your fullback. The Titans now they're the first team to have no buys for the rest of the season. So you know that he will be there every week, apart from maybe round 19, because if he's the 18th man again, that he can't play for the Titans in round 19. So that is one downside of him. But I guess Ponga doesn't play round 19. Nico Klukstad does. So if you're an overall player for those three, maybe if it comes down to your round 19 numbers, maybe it's Nico Klukstad. I've just got a good feeling about Ponga, if I'm being honest. And, with Panthers resting all their origin stars, I think that'll be good for Newcastle this week. So I think Ponga, even though it's a tough matchup on paper against Penrith, who still are a good defense, even without their origin players, I think Ponga's in a good kind of moment in terms of his form is really good. I like the draw for the run home for the Knights as well. So to be honest, out of those three, my favorite is actually Ponga. I know Brimson is the pod, but Ponga's he's really passing the eye test for me. Jeremy Marshall-King to Wade Egan, worried about AC joint issue. Yeah, so obviously this is a trade that you would need to make today if you do want to get in Wade Egan. Good thing with Wade Egan is that Freddie Lussick is the 18th man. So I don't think the Warriors have a recognised dummy half on the bench. So it looks as though Wade Egan is probably likely to get 80 minutes. Looking at the bench, it's Dylan. Dylan Walker maybe can play some dummy half, I guess. Tom Ale, Bailey Sirenen, Josh Curran. Dylan Walker maybe spells him for a little bit. Maybe only plays 60 minutes, Wade Egan, but it's a good matchup on paper, of course. And the benefit of the Warriors is that they have, I think, the next 5 games without a bye. So they play that crucial round 20 week. So he could be a handy trade in there. So I don't view him as a season-long keeper, but if you have Wade Egan and then you flick your other guy to Harry Grant in the end, I think that hooker combination is fine. Really, your hooker spot, in my view, it should be Grant, and then whoever else you have is fine. You don't need to play them every week. So I don't mind the Egan shout this week. And look, I'm fine with selling Marshall-King. I think this issue is obviously going on for a bit too long. And I think if you want the round 19 coverage, I can't really think of any other dummy half apart. Cook won't play round 19. Reed Marnie will, but he's not been that great. Yeah, it probably is. Wade Egan is probably one of the better options, so I don't mind that trade. Drinkwater or Gutherson? So Gutherson has the bye next week, which is a little bit awkward if you are looking to trade in Gutho. He is actually the most traded in player for this round, which was surprising me a little bit. I thought it would have been someone like maybe Munster, but some people, I guess, or like an SJ. SJ is just behind Gutherson, so Gutho is very, very highly traded in compared to a Drinkwater, who's he's been absolutely killing it, and I think he's like 800. He's 845k Drinkwater. He is so expensive. Doesn't play round 19, whereas Gutherson does. So you've got the Rabbitohs this week, Tigers next week, and then the bye in round 19. Gutherson has got the Dolphins this week, has the bye next week, but round 19 is against the Warriors. And Gutherson's got in round 20 the Titans, which is going to be a crucial week where you want guys to play. I think just due to the lower price and the negative break even, I still think I would take Gutherson just over Drinkwater. 197 of you watching, really appreciate it. Do give the stream a like if you do enjoy it. Thoughts on a Walsh buy this week? Could be instead of potential Munster. Yeah, look, I think if your original plan was Munster and that's not what you can do, and you're say on the sell Buller train, really like Walsh as a trade, and I do think Walsh will probably back up. Broncos do have a really nice little short-term draw coming up as well. So just having a quick look at it. So it's obviously the Titans this week, which I think is a great matchup for him. I think they've got the Bulldogs in round 20. Because obviously they don't play round 19. Yeah, so it's the Dolphins in round 18. That's a great matchup. Bulldogs in round 20. I guess the question mark there is, does he back up in that game against the Dogs in round 20? Because, obviously I suspect that he'll play game 3 as well. Just quickly on Walsh and Origin, I'm so scared now as a New South Wales fan. He looks so good, and him and Ponga could just be there for another decade. Don't do this to us. We already went through 8 years of four series in 18 years. Since I've been in pretty much since I started watching rugby full time, 2004-5. I've seen us win 5 series in 18 years. This is ridiculous. I only know pain and misery as a New South Wales fan in my adult life. It's sad. Anyway, side tangent. Just very quickly, I'm just checking up the Broncos when they play in round 20. So they have a 2-day turnaround. So it's a Saturday game. So it is an away game. So obviously they're in Sydney for game 3. So they don't need to travel, I guess. So that probably does help. I like Walsh. At least the next 2 weeks, will be good. And if he gets to back up in round 20, then I think that's going to be really good as well against the Dogs. So I like Walsh as a trade in this week as well. Just obviously you need to be conscious of your round 19 numbers if you're selling Buller, because you're taking out a round 19 guy for someone who isn't going to. So you just need to think about that. But the way that Walsh is playing and the Broncos, their form this season, he could be a run home fullback as well. Especially now that Turbo's out of the picture, it really kind of blows open that whole fullback spot. Cause I think a lot of us were probably looking at Turbo as one of two fullbacks. It could very easily just now be Latrell, Reece Walsh, Gutherson, Drinkwater. Like there's a few picks, maybe Tedesco as well. So yeah, no, I like the Walsh trading. I'm a fan. I can get behind that. But I like it this week. AFB, what's this? Flanagan a good or bad thing for Titans this deep into the season? Tino seemed to like Holbrook. Oh, right, of course, yeah. So Justin Holbrook has been terminated from the Titans, I think, effective immediately. So I think they've got a interim coach coming in. Is it Shane Flanagan? Shane Flanagan's going to the Dragons, and also Shane Flanagan's at Manly already. Des Hasler is coming in 2024. To be honest, I don't really think that affects someone like Tino that much. I think Tino's a captain. I think his role, you'd be pretty silly if you were trying to change Tino's role. He's been killing it. To say, Tino, just keep doing what you're doing. So I don't see any issues with I guess if you liked Holbrook, fine. But I think Tino just, don't know him, of course, but feels like the kind of guy who'll just get on with the job. So I think he'll be fine. Who to VC, Walsh or Fafita? Ooh, tough one. Let's just assuming both are playing. VC, Fafita or Walsh? It's been a while it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen a Fafita ton. Walsh only scored a ton, I think, a couple of weeks ago. VC, they're like playing on a Sunday. Are you able to VC that late in the week? If it's a VC, then I'd say Walsh, take the upside. If it's a captain, I'm slightly leaning Walsh. I just feel like he'll be on like cloud 9, to be honest, after this whole Origin series and the way he's playing. I'd probably still take Walsh. Peachy or Schuster to Munster? So obviously Peachy, like in terms of I would sell Peachy before Schuster, just because Peachy's role is, once we've finished the Origin period, Peachy's role is going to be like either as a bench or he won't be in the 17 altogether. Schuster is the starting 5'8" for Manly, so he still could be some handy depth. So I think on that basis, I'd sell Peachy. Out of which of the two I'd rather have this week, though, it would be Peachy. Peachy would be playing the Knights at centre. Schuster against Melbourne, I don't like that. So I'd rather have Peachy this week, but long term, I'd probably sell Peachy over Schuster. Thoughts on Freddie and the Blues? I could be here for hours talking about that, but Freddie's a legend, obviously, for New South Wales, but just some very odd selections and rotations and stuff. Like we looked at that Queensland minutes, like those minutes for those forwards just look perfect, like just shared around beautifully. There's only Cotter who played 80. I'm looking at New South Wales and it's like Stefano 12, Murray 33, Haas 67. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, how is Murray and Martin not playing like bigger? Like Martin played 61 minutes, fair. Murray 33 minutes. I'm like, what is going on here? And he was so good when he came on as well. I was like, this is unbelievable. So I don't know. I feel like his ability to like on the fly adjust and things, or like give good instructions, doesn't seem to quite be there. So anyway, look, obviously he'll get game 3, but I'd say the bet is probably that he won't be the New South Wales coach next season. And especially, oh my God, hearing Billy Slater and the way he spoke about in the press match, I was just like, oh God, this is terrible. As a New South Wales fan, he's just got them he's just got them locked in, just like, playing good, like just good defense, like they all have their jobs and everything. It's like, I'm just like, oh God, no. Well, here we go again. I thought we were done with Smith and Slater and Thurston. They're all bloody back to inflict more pain. Can't they just give us a break? We got 2 years, 2018, 2019, and I was like, oh my God, we're on here. We're on. Can we go for our three-peat, at least a three-peat. Then we lost 2020. I was like, bloody hell. Then we won 2021. I was like, okay, cool. 3 or 4. Good stuff. Last year was disappointing, and then this year I'm just like, and then hearing Slater talk, I'm just like, oh man, I don't like this. Anyway. Does Brimson play 80? Yeah, Brimson will play 80. I'm pretty confident he's been named at fullback. So if he's playing fullback, he will be playing 80 minutes. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Yeah, he's playing 80. So I know Jaden Campbell is on the bench, but they've had Campbell come on as a bit of a roaming half when he's come on. I think Brimson is fine to play still 80 minutes. Joey Johns for New South Wales coach. To be honest, I've not heard... I mean, I know Joey's a legend as well, but he's in there like coaching as well. So I don't know if he's really going to make that much of a difference, to be honest. So that's a problem. We don't really have a clear idea as to who would be the next one up. So it's kind of hard to say like, oh yeah, just get rid of Freddie. It's like, well, we need to get rid of him if you know who your replacement is. That's worthwhile. Trade in Walsh for Buller or Johnson for Hughes? Definitely the Walsh for Buller trade. I think Hughes playing this week. I don't think you need to... I mean, while I think SJ is a really good trade in this week, and I'm very excited to have him in my team after him killing it this season, and hopefully puts on a good score today, I think Hughes has shown some good form too. I think Hughes is going to keep going up in price, so he'll be a nice bridge back to Cleary. Buller's out this week, so yeah, no, I think I'd be taking Buller out instead of Hughes. Obviously, though, depend on the round 19 numbers as well, because you are obviously, Hughes to Johnson, you are getting a round 19 guy. Whereas Buller out for whoever it was, sorry, I forgot, you are losing around 19 guys. So just be conscious of that too. But strictly on the two trades, I'd say Buller out for Walsh, I think is what you said. Aman's pre-game show over Fox Leagues, I'll take that. Maybe they can recruit me. Maybe I can work for Fox or something. I don't know. Yeah, help me get into the media, boys and girls who are watching. Good rant, bro. I love it. Grow the mo again. Oh God. You guys are this is gonna become very quickly a men's like hair grooming channel, isn't it? Where like you're like nice hair, good moustache, all this kind of stuff. I'm gonna get less and less questions about my trades and more about like, oh, what product are you using and all this kind of stuff. Craziness. Who do you think is the best second row forward pod? Let's look at this quickly because to be honest, this is relevant for me. I do need to think about second row forwards. I think LOCKOUT, let's check his ownership. I do think he is a pod at this stage. Let's go on averages. So we've got Kolomatangi, 6.9%, so that's quite low. Issue with him though is obviously that game 3 risk. So I think if without that, he's probably the best pod. Madison at 3%, I really like that too. I'm very heavily considering Madison this week. I know he has got a high break even of 103, but some of that you can probably lock in for the season. Ideally, maybe you'd wait until round 19 after his bye next week, but if you need the trade in this week, I like Madison. I know he's been benched, but his stats even off the bench are pretty elite. Like he was doing it all of last season, and just looking back at some of his scores this season when he was on the bench, like yeah. So according to NRL SuperCoach Stats.com, best NRL SuperCoach Stats website out there, hands down, 52, 53, and 37 minutes, 78, 62, 64. Now that 37-minute game, he did get a try assist, line break assist, which boosted his score. But I mean, in those 37 minutes, he had 32 in base. So like, he's a PPM like weapon. So coming off the bench, I think is just fine for him. So I really like Madison as a pod second row forward. And maybe just to give you one more, where is LOCKOUT? This is the thing, LOCKOUT is he's 8%. And considering how good LOCKOUT was last year, he is in pod territory. So I'd say those three are probably the top three. I'd probably rank Madison. Well, I'd probably rank Kolomatangi, but just with the game 3 risk, that puts me off a little bit. So I'd say as a trade in this week, probably Madison, Kolomatangi, LOCKOUT. They're 3 suggestions. Is it fine to use my last boost this week to get 17? Yes, I think that's fine to use your last boost if you're short for numbers this week. I mean, unless you really think that boost is going to come in handy down the stretch to like get back a lot of the Origin guns. You know, this week a lot of players are out and short on numbers this week. So if you have a really good 16, it might be okay. But I have no issues using a boost if you're trying to get to a good 17. Why have you never been on the blog podcast or SE Playbook? Don't ask me, ask them. No, look, I'm still a fairly new content creator, to be fair. I think this is on this channel, it's my second year, but I did it for another year, the year before last on my earlier channel. So I've done it for 3 years now, so I'm still kind of new, I guess. But no, look, the Playbook guys are great. love listening to their stuff. But yeah, just hit him up in the comments, tell him to get me on, and we'll see what if we can make something happen. Storm tweeted the updated team list. Okay, let's have a quick look at this. Any Munster news? Let's have a look. That would be ideal, but I doubt it. They're probably just going to give him, I think, until the last minute, to be fair, which is completely reasonable. I don't think Melbourne Storm are really thinking about NRL SuperCoach players out there. Oh, sorry. Okay. Jonah Pezzett will once again join the Melbourne Storm run-on side with Cameron Munster rested after Origin 2. Okay, there you go. So Cam Munster is going to be rested for this week. So Jonah Pezzett's come into the 5'8". Harry Grant is still there. I suspect that Grant will play then if he's there. But yeah, Cam Munster is not playing this week. So thankfully we've gotten that news before lockout. So obviously reverse your trades if you brought in Munster. But yeah, that pretty much... I'm glad, to be fair, I'm kind of happy with that because I was really keen on Munster this week, but I kind of was like, oh, I don't think I can get him. I need to get the second row forward. It's pretty much answered my question now anyway. So, yeah, for me, yeah, that's easy. So, yeah, Munster out this week. Sorry, not sure if you answered. Is Walker a strong buy? I think Walker's a really great buy. I think the reason he's not being spoken about a lot is I think a lot of people already own him. He is expensive, but like it's a good matchup this week. Cowboys have been leaky. Warriors I think is fine. And yeah, that round 19 game, like I don't feel like Cody Walker will play game 3. So I think that he's safe for that round 19 bye week. And it's a matchup against the Bulldogs. Like he will be a genuine captain option that week. So yeah, I think Walker, if you don't own, I think he is, like if you're doing Buller to Walker, for example, I think that's a good trade. I do like getting Walker in. They do have a bye in round 20, which is a little bit awkward. And I think they've got another bye down the track in round 26. So they do have a couple of byes down the stretch. But I think he's proven over the season that he is like probably top 2 5'8". So I think he is still worth the bye. Munster's still a buy? No, definitely not. If Munster's not playing this week, there's absolutely no reason to buy Munster this week. But yeah, I'm happy that we got that news though before lockout. That's very, very helpful. Okie dokie. Is Taumalolo worth getting in? Only thing with Taumalolo is he had a really great game. And look, to be fair, he did pass the eye test. The way that he was, like, especially on that last tackle when just before Drinkwater scored that last run, I should say. Like he looked really good. The fact that he was running so hard in the last minute was very encouraging. Just having a look at his price, he's 475k, so he's at a good price, 46 break even. The only issue is that last week, 69 points was his highest score of the season. First 7 weeks of the season, 43, 53, 45, 46, 63, 32, 39. Like, there's more average scores in there than anything good. Like, he's had 3 scores over 50 out of his 8 games this season. I just, for me, Taumalolo, like, I'm not looking at him as like a, top 6 second row forward, so he doesn't kind of meet that criteria for me either. So for me, like, it was a great game last week, but I just don't know if it's a 1 week sample size. If we see that again this week or the week after, like, he's still cheap. You can still maybe get him for like 520k in a couple of weeks. So he's not going to hurt you and get out of reach and price. Just more scores that are good, worse, more bad scores than good scores. I'm not totally sold yet on Taumalolo. Buy Haas or Tino this week? So there's another question from Hayden and Stuart. So both of you have asked similar questions. So I think if you had to buy one this week, because of the minutes that they played in Origin, Tino, because I think he's going to be good for minutes. If I had to choose one of the two, though, as your season guy, it would be Payne Haas. I think the fact that you're getting him 130k cheaper than Tino is good. The thing with Tino, he's been on an absolute tear the last 5 weeks, but he is attacking stat reliant. That's the only thing with Tino that I have a knock against him. And look, I call it a knock. He can get those attacking stats. We've seen that. He has scored 2 tries in the last 2 weeks. He scored 108 though in round 12 without a try. To be fair, I was probably too harsh, and I'm looking at some of his scores without attacking stats: 61, 74, 55. Those are his minutes. His scores were actually 62, 88, 70, 108. Those games came without tries. So look, he has got those big scores in him. He's very expensive. I guess the problem is that 69 break even, that he's probably actually going to stay at that price. No more buys after round 19 as well. I think, oh my god. I still think I'd take Payne Haas, to be honest. I think just the price saving for me just is what edges it just for me slightly. Because I think Tino does have sometimes those games where he can get you like a 40 to 50, whereas Payne Haas just seems every week minimum 65, very frequently 70. And Payne Haas has got 3 scores over 90 this season as well. So he's actually shown a bit more of a ceiling than probably the last couple of seasons. Like Payne Haas' lowest score this season is 55. Like, that's actually ridiculous. His lowest score this season is 55. Highest score of 95. So I think he's just going to be that rock solid, consistent guy. Tino's probably going to be a bit more fluctuating, higher ceiling. So I would also, to be honest, look at your rank. Because I think Tino, let's have a quick look at, ownership. I just want to have a quick look at the ownership of these two. Because the way I think about it is, if you are kind of lower in the ranks, I think Tino 19% owned, Payne Haas 48%. On that perspective, I'd say get Tino. He's lower owned. He's probably a high chance, because he has got that ceiling. Maybe you can try to antipod Payne Haas to an extent. But I think if you're higher up and just looking to consolidate, maybe I'd just say get Payne Haas in, just because he's a high owned guy who, you're keeping on track with the rest of the guys around you if you're at a higher rank. If you had the money, would you bring in Haas or Tino? You always need to think about, though, what are you going to use that money? What could that money be used for your other parts of your team? Tino is hard to watch sometimes, especially if you don't own, but so is Payne Haas as well. For this week, I'd say Tino, just because of the fact that he played less minutes in Origin. But yeah, I think for the rest of the season, I'd still probably say I'd take Payne Haas. And you're 690k, you're getting me at a good price. And I need to make this decision as well. I basically need to decide between Payne Haas or Madison. Just to very quickly, I'll quickly demonstrate how I'm thinking about doing this trade, because if you're curious. So I was going to put one of my center wing fullback guys down there, and then I'll swap Jack Howarth down here, and then I can trade in a second row forward, or I can even trade a front row forward like Payne Haas in by swapping Tarpany down. And I've got 726k, so I can't afford Tino. I can get Payne Haas, or I can get Madison. If I had to be perfectly honest, I'm slightly leaning towards Madison this week. Who's my captain? So SJVC locked in. Captaincy, I'm going to have another sleep about it tonight, because we don't need to make that decision later. But at the moment, I've got it on Gutherson. But to be honest, I don't know if it's the right way of thinking about it. I just kind of feel like Gutherson's due for a slightly lower week. So I'm kind of thinking I probably won't end up, having it on Gutherson. Fingers crossed SJ just does the business and I can just loop him. Because the thing is, Cody's probably the other guy in my team who maybe is a shout, but I don't know, the Cowboys doesn't feel as much of an easy team now in terms of the points scoring as maybe, say, a few weeks ago. So even Cody, I don't feel completely sold on. Even the Dolphins, I don't know, it's an away game for the Eels. It's a very tough one this week. So I think I'll post out on Twitter and stuff what I'm thinking of doing. But at the moment it's on Gutherson. But the problem with Gutherson is that he doesn't goal kick, so he does have that ability to maybe go like 50, and it's not really worth it. So yeah, at the moment it's Gutherson, but very easily I think the next guy I'm thinking about is Cody Walker. It's probably one of those two, if I'm being honest. I don't really see anyone else in my team. I could obviously take a safe guy, and if I brought in Madison, maybe I can captain Madison, but I don't see myself doing that. So yeah, very, very tough. Sean Lane will be back after the bye. Will this impact Madison? No, I don't think it will impact Madison. I think it will just impact Bryce Cartwright. Also, picking Matt Drury over Bryce Cartwright at the beginning of the season will haunt me. Drury's just he's just been useless in terms of SuperCoach and cash growth and everything, whereas Bryce Cartwright's gone up like mid 500k. Obviously, I wouldn't be buying the Cardi Party just now, given that Sean Lane I think is going to be back after the bye in round 19. I think it will affect Sean Lane coming back will affect Cartwright. Madison I think will stay on his role of just playing kind of off the bench as a middle role. Can I afford Fanua Blake? I think I can, but I still think I prefer Payne Haas. It's not a bad shout, to be honest, to go maybe someone like Fanua Blake, because he will play round 19. To be honest, I didn't even think about Fanua Blake. I can do it with $2,800, so I can get Fanua Blake, but he is at like a sky high price, and he's got a high break even too. I don't know. It is a good matchup. I could be regretting this, but like, he really benefited here from scoring a lot of tries. Last 2 weeks, 63-60. If Warriors get back to full strength, I kind of feel like these scores are more likely what he's going to get. So I feel like I'd be paying overs. So I'm not completely sold on Fanil Blake. Is Angus Crichton worth buying? Not in my opinion. Doesn't play round 19. He just doesn't look like the Angus that we've seen the last few seasons, where he's been like a Supercoach gun. So I'm personally not too sold on Crichton. Would I pick Moses or Gutherson for C if you had both? To be honest, I'd probably go Moses, just because he's got the goal kicking, so you know that he's got that kind of higher ceiling. Well, he's got the ability to just. I think the fact that he's got the goal kicking is probably, I would lean Moses just if I had those two. Thoughts on Campbell Gillard? No, I think for me, front row forward, I think you just go with the Tino, go with the Haas. If you've got Torhu and you've got Tarpany or Horsburgh, Corey Horsburgh is an option. I think just sticks all with them. I mean, Gillard he's 435k, and I think that's for a reason. Season average of 50. Like, he's got a break even of 76. It's not like he's going to even make money. Not for me personally. No, I just don't think I don't think I'd be going Campbell Gillard. Is Munster out? Yes. So he's rested this week. We've got that confirmed. Walsh or Edwards? If you're buying one of the two, to be honest, I think I'd go Reece Walsh. I think he's just shown more all season. Edwards is solid, but Walsh has got that ceiling, and I think, I don't know, I just feel like this Origin is just going to set him soaring even more. Is captaincy on Walsh too risky? I don't think so. And I like your setup as well. If you've got VC Moses, Captain Walsh, I think it's a pretty good setup. I think that's fine. I wouldn't worry about that. Is AFB a keeper? If you've got him, I wouldn't be selling him for Fanil Blake, put it that way. But I don't know if I'd be buying him. Just, I think the high price, and I think potentially he could maybe start regressing a little bit. When I say regress to like a 60-65, not like the 75-80s that we were seeing a few weeks ago. Cows might rest everyone. That is true. That is one thing I'm thinking about. Maybe I like put Walker in for Ponga and just leave myself the option in case they rest him. But they did this last time where they named all their Origin players on the extended bench, and then they brought them all back in. So I'm kind of thinking that will happen again. So I feel like Todd Payton's will play them. So I'm not sure that the Cowboys will be that under strength. Jason, Fafita and Eli Katoa to Tino and Kolomatangi, or Fafita? Nah, if you've got Fafita, I'm not trading Fafita now. If you've held him all this time, I know he's got a high break even, but look, he can score 100 this week very easily, and then all of a sudden, it loses 50k, and then he might just hover around just north of 800k. Nah, I'm not on board with selling Fafita at this stage. If you've got him now, I think you just hold through. Tino or Walsh? I mean, these are completely different positions, so it's very hard to say. I mean, if I would rather one of the two for the rest of the season, I guess you have to think about the alternates in their position. Outside of Walsh, you've got Latrell, Teddy, Edwards, Gutherson. I think Walsh could be easily a top 2. Front row forward, Tino is probably a top 2 front row forward, along with Payne Haas. But you've got solid options like Torhu and Tarpany. I think I'd go Walsh. I think he just looks just solid. Teddy, hold or move on to Walsh. I think if you've got Teddy, I think you keep him for this week. The thing with Teddy as well is that, Roosters could just click and go for an end of season run like they sometimes have shown in the last couple of seasons. Play Ray Stone or Billy Smith. Who we've got? We've got the Raiders, Dolphins, we've got Eels. Ray Stone's been named to start. If the team rolled out like this, I'd probably say just play Ray Stone because of he's a bit safer maybe for scores. But to be fair, Billy Smith's base is not bad. Like, he scored 38 last week with no attacking stats, so 38 is fine. So I think it really depends. I think Stone is probably more likely to give you a 50, Billy Smith like a 35. So you're maybe losing out 15 points there, but Billy Smith I think has a higher chance of going like 80. So I think it really just comes down to that equation. And to be honest, I think if I had both of my team, I'd probably pay Billy Smith. Brimson a buy. What's his break even? If you want to find out Brimson's break even, definitely Brimson is a buy. I like him. He's a really cheap price. That's good. That's one good thing with him. 525k, a very achievable break even of 57 as well. And in his healthy games this season, he's got a season average of 68. So you're definitely getting value if you pay 525k for Brimson. So I do like him. He probably won't play round 19. I suspect that he will stay as the 18th man for Queensland. But for the rest of the season, I like him. Brimson or Edwards via Ponga. I mean, Edwards I think is still really expensive as well. He's 660k, so it's not too expensive. Knights is a good matchup, I guess. I was very keen on Edwards a few weeks ago, but I think since then, 69-77, like he's been solid. I kind of feel like Brimson can give you these kind of scores as well, so I'd probably just take that price saving and go Brimson instead, and take maybe more of the pod. Last reserve, Warbrick or Billy Smith. Oh, I mean, can Warbrick can he keep it up? To be honest, Warbrick has been actually quite good the last few weeks as well, and they're definitely starting to look like they're using him more. The frustration at the beginning of the season was that Hughes would just use Eli Katoa and the ball would never get to the winger. Well, I say that 136, but then it was 32, 34, 53. So I think the matchup is better for Warbrick. So I think I just take Warbrick. All right, we've got 6 minutes left as well. So let's fire through. Let's do rapid fire. Is Sean Johnson worth bringing now for Moses? No, not for Moses in my opinion. I think Moses you keep this week if he's playing the Dolphins. It's a good matchup as well. Billy Smith to Richie Kenner or Valence Tavare. So on Valence Tavare, very quickly. So they said Brenko Lee is a week-to-week proposition in terms of his injury. I think just from NRL Physio, his assessment was that Brenko is probably more likely it's going to be a multi-week absence. So Tavare, he thinks is going to be okay. I think with Tavare, he's got a break-even of 7, so he's not going to go out of much in price. And he does play round 19 if he's available. I think I'd take Kenner still, because I think Tavare has a chance where if Brenko's back, he just goes back to the bench. And the problem is that he then just becomes an AE nightmare. Whereas with Kenner, I think he'll play or he won't be in the team at all. So I think he'll just nuff out for you. So I think he'll be less of an AE nightmare. So I still think Kenner I'd take this week over Tavare. But Tavare could be a good option soon. Not sure if this was asked before, but Jerry Marshall King to Grant or just play Weeks? Just very quickly on KO Weeks, he could actually be a cheap hooker to go for potentially. He's got dual, I think. I think he's 5'8" and hooker. And now that Tom is out for the rest of the season, I suspect that he'll be the fullback for the rest of the year. So it could be a decent cheapie. He's 259k as well. So I just wanted to quickly put that out there. In terms of who to play, in terms of your trade, Jeremy Marshall King to Grant or play Weeks. I like buying Grant this week, especially with Marshall King being out. Yeah, to be honest, I think KO Weeks versus Melbourne, I'm not sure how good he'll go this week. I don't mind going Marshall King to Grant this week, to be fair. Okay. Walker or Brimson? I'm assuming that's Cody Walker. I'd still take Cody, in my opinion. Brendan Piakura, thoughts on a cheapie? No, I don't love Piakura because I think that Kurt Capel is back round 20, and I think Piakura will be out of the side at that point, or at least maybe on the bench. So I think he's a very short-term option for the Broncos. So he doesn't play round 19 either. Okay, how are we going for time? 4 minutes. 4 minutes, all right. Got 4 minutes to save the world. Shout out to Justin Timberlake and Madonna. No Jason Saab as well for Manly. Okay, so that's been confirmed too. So that's interesting. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure what's that. I mean, it's not really relevant for Supercoach, I guess, but I'm just not sure what's happened there. Hold Peachy for one more week? Yes, I would, because Peachy, he's playing centre now against the Knights, so I think it's a good matchup. It's a home game as well for them. So just having a quick look at Peachy's break even. The thing with Peachy though, like, he is a ball hog. As a Sunia Taruva owner, very frustrated with Peachy last week. But a break-in of 36, I think he can definitely clear that this week. So he's not going to lose money. So yeah, Peachy for me, a definite hold this week. Should I play Sullivan or Billy Smith? I'd play Billy Smith. I'm not sure if I'd... I'm assuming that's Jaden Sullivan. So no, I'd still take Billy Smith. Hey mate, Walsh or Haas in this week, Boulevard duels. Of the two, I like Reece Walsh. I like this week's game. I like the Dolphins game, and I like that Bulldogs game if he plays it in round 20. So yeah, I would take Walsh just over Haas. Who to get Munster for 5'8"? Not fully understanding the question. I'm assuming that if you're looking to buy a 5'8" and you wanted to go Munster, Ponga. I still like Ponga as a buy. He's got the Bulldogs next week. Penrith without their origin stars. So I think Ponga is just fine if you already own Cody. If you don't own Cody, I'd probably just get Cody. Otherwise, probably Ponga, and then maybe Brimson after him. Tino or Day for Feeder. I mean, I prefer Fafita, but I don't know if I'd be buying Fafita this week with that really high break even. Long term Fafita, if you had to buy it this week, probably Tino. Is there a chance Walsh rests this week? There's definitely a chance, but I can't tell you what the chance or probability is. So we'll have to just hopefully as much as possible, I think, just keep your team kind of fluid in terms of setting up your team correctly so that you can manage those kind of late outs and team use and stuff. So that's probably the only thing that I would obviously suggest to everyone. All right, we'll do one more question and then we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, mate. Bring the Mo back, please. We'll see what we can do. What's a good time to get Fafita? I think probably around 20, around 21. After the origin period, he's probably one of my first targets I'll be looking for. Best front row forward or second row forward under 600k. Second row forward, to be honest, is probably LOCKOUT, I'd say, because I think he will do. But he traditionally has done better without Turbo in the team because Cherry Evans uses him more in attack. One last real question: shampoo the beard? Nah, do not shampoo the beard. Don't shampoo the beard. Beard is completely different to the hair. Whatever you do up here, you do not do here. They're very, very different. Anyway, we've got a minute left, but I need to go heat up my dinner and get myself on the couch so I can watch the Sean Johnson masterclass, hopefully, fingers crossed. So I'll wrap up the stream there. Thank you all for joining tonight. Do please give the stream a like on the way out as well. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Good luck for this weekend. We'll be back on Sunday for the round 17 wrap-up stream. So set your alarms for that or whatever. But I'll see you all then. Have a great weekend. Catch you all a bit later. See ya.